Hey! So what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? How are you today? Well, I'm going to shoot real straight with you today because that's the kind of guy I am. I'm going to tell you it's nighttime. Can you tell? Can you tell it's the evening? We just watched the preseason game of the New York Jets versus the Green Bay Packers, and I have to tell you, it's late now. What do you think of that? But anyway, everybody, I am happy that you are here. Welcome to episode 34 of Greenbean's Jets Pod, and I am in a good mood, man. I'm in a good mood, even though we have some things to talk about. We do. We have things to talk about, but I'm in a good mood. You're in a good mood. I know you are. You want to know how I know? Because I've been hanging out with a lot of you all day, and I know. Dudes, we got to see some stuff. Number one, Jets football is back. How's that? How is that? For one, we've been waiting, we've been drafting, we've been free agenting, we've been OTAing, we've been training camping, and now we're watching the New York Jets play football under an entirely new guise, a new look. And I'm excited about it. I am. We have some important stuff to talk about today. Good, bad, and we're going to broach the topic of this video. It's a big deal, man. I've been thinking a lot about it. I have organized some thoughts. I'm going to give it to you straight as I can. I'm going to give it to you. And then we're going to see where we land with this whole thing. See how we feel at the end of this one. It's been a crazy week. Crazy week, man. But first, let me say this. Number one, again, this is Greenbean's Jets Pod. I am Green Bean, and I'm grateful that you're here. If you would like to support this channel and everything that I'm doing, a couple of ways you can do that. One, hit the like button. It's right below the little cube that you're looking at that's moving. Right below this, right there. Hit the little like button, boop, little thumbs up. Hey, how you doing? And then there's the subscribe button. That's really good. It looks just like this. Or just like this. Yeah, it looks just like this. And then I wanted to make sure that you know that you can support me even further. And I so greatly appreciate it. If you feel like I'm offering any value to your day on YouTube as a Jets content creator, you can join my Patreon and help support this channel and everything that I'm doing out here on the road. The information is right in the description of this video. It's very simple. 3 tiers, 5, 10, 25. Different little bonuses, benefits you get. Little access to me. We carve out some time. We hang out. You get early viewing, all kinds of stuff. I ask your opinion. You get to be a part of the creative process. It's a good time. And I greatly appreciate it. If you'd be interested in that, the link is right below in the description of this video, and you can do that. The other thing is this. We're doing live streams every week for every single Jets game that we'll have this year. We did it versus the Giants. We did it today versus the Green Bay Packers. And that is taking place at none other than Jetnation's YouTube. You go right on YouTube, type in Jetnation, and there we are. And you can like and subscribe there as well. And if that's not enough for you, you can go to jetsnation.com where there is more football talk, Jets talk specifically, than you've ever seen in any one place ever in your life. Even Twitter. It's got nothing on Jetnation, and I mean that sincerely. And then, hey guys, I'm driving around this crazy country looking for roller coasters. I take my wife and kids everywhere I go. We live in an RV. We ride roller coasters, we visit stadiums, we see people, all kinds of fun stuff, and all that is being documented, and you can support and get involved in that as well at Full-Time Coaster Tour on YouTube. And if you could give me a sub over there, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm almost to that threshold, man. We are right on the precipice of moving into a realm where I can actually start to do some stuff with that channel. Go over there, give me a like, super cool. If 1/3 of you went over there and just hit subscribe today, it'd be over. You never have to hear me say this again. But anywho, let's start with the game real quick. See, this is a good thing. I'm trying to reorganize my week because I would record the podcast on Saturday night-ish afternoon. I would release it to my Patreon users or my supporters on Sunday so they get it early. Then I release it to everybody else on Monday. But when I record it on Saturdays, what happens on Sunday every week now that we're in the season? The games. So you can't record before the game because then everything that happens in the game I don't talk about because I don't know what's happening. So you can't do that. So I'm moving and shifting and changing my schedule around to try to figure this out for you guys so we can hang. So we can get this all done. But today the good thing is that the game happened today. So usually I would have recorded this earlier, but I waited a little while for the game, and that's where you get to see my new lighting system. Isn't that neat? I got all kinds of cool stuff I'm trying to get going for you guys, but it's difficult because I'm perpetually moving. Every single time I record, I have to pack up everything, put it back into boxes, find its little crevice in my RV, pack it all up. Then we move, and then I take it all out again. That's why it always looks different. It's crazy. It's not easy. But anyway, I got some really cool plans, man. I got a lot going on, and I'm just gonna continually build this for you. I have a lot of creative stuff that I'm just about to release to you guys. I've been working on the idea phase for far too long, quite frankly. But it's been a long time coming, and I can't wait to give it to you guys, and it's gonna be awesome. But we are here right after the game, so let's get a little bit of that out. Let's talk about this before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video. One is this. The defense is, I'm starting with it. I'm going right in. The defense, we got issues, man. We have issues. Now, the sad part about it is that the defensive line was, without question, we were planning to have that be our strong point of the defense. That was going to be the solid part, and then everything else would hopefully benefit from how devastatingly impactful our defensive line was. And then the other day, as we know, we lost the fantastic leader that we signed in free agency, Mr. Carl Lawson. We lost him for the year, man, which is going to be used for the main piece of this video, man. This is another main example of what I'm talking about here. But we lost Carl Lawson, and just like that, it seems as if the entire defense forgot how to tackle. There was no longer any penetration outside of a handful of plays. So we have issues. The defensive line was getting no push, no penetration. They were getting shoved around. The linebackers were not wrapping up their tackles. C.J. Mosley had a few tackles, and there were a couple, but I'm speaking mainly of the first team defense. They had issues. And then the cornerbacks and safeties, they got beat up. They did. Now, they came back later and things kind of wrapped around and we did okay. And some guys had good days, or they came back. Like Isaiah Dunn had a really porous first chunk of the game. Just didn't look good, man. Was getting picked on a bit. And then later on, he came back, made a play. So, it's good to see him come back like that. I was mentioning it in the stream. That shows some mental fortitude. And that's what you want to see with these young guys. They go through the adversity, and how do they bounce back? Like Salah was saying, that's when you find out what somebody's made of. That's the goods. That's the good time. When you go through a hard time, you're going to see what are they made of. So guys like Isaiah Dunn and some others kind of came out of that and bounced back, which is a positive. But we have work to do. Now, in our defense, we had no Quinnen Williams, we had no Sheldon Rankins, we obviously had no Carl Lawson. Guys like Hamilka Rashid got banged up a little bit, so there was a lot going on the defense. Now, we're going to work on it. We got young guys. We knew this. We knew this going in. But things like tackling, you don't want to see that. You want to see them be able to be disciplined with their technique so they can make the play like they're supposed to. But here's the good news. Tackling can be worked on. Tackling can be worked on, guys. It's like somebody said in the stream earlier. It's like in a baseball team just working on ground balls all day. That's right. It's the same kind of thing. It's technique. So we can work on that, and I believe we will. So let's flip it over for a minute. We got a couple really nice positives, and I mean really nice. Quite frankly, the most important positive of them all is that our quarterback looks pretty good. He looks pretty good. I'm just going to say it like that. He looks pretty good. Poised, relaxed, focused, stands in the pocket, knows how to step into a pocket, made a couple off-script plays like we know he can do. Real nice one down the right sideline to Corey Davis. Speaking of Corey Davis, who knew we had that kind of wiggle? Looking good. The most important thing about that is look at the offensive line. I want to point something out. Isn't it every week that we get told there's a crisis with Mekhi Becton? Every week. But way back since plantar fasciitis. Remember that? Nobody talks about that anymore. Remember that? Then it was his weight. Then he was going to eat himself to death, right? Wasn't that Samini? He said he's going to eat himself to death or something along those lines. What was that? Then it was iron sharpens iron. Then Carl Lawson was beating him up. Then he goes and plays well for the Giants game. Then the guy says, this is how I dominated Mekhi Becton, which he did not do. It was literally one play. Then he goes to Green Bay. Everybody says he sucks. He can't stop it. It's nonstop with this guy. What I saw was a guy that nailed down the left side of our line. That's what I saw. No, it's preseason. Right? We're not getting too crazy about anything. But, dude, is Mekhi Becton bothering you? Not bothering me, man. It's looking pretty good. And even without playing with the projected starting left guard, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Feeney's he's not somebody I have a lot of faith in, but the pockets were still there. The running lanes were still there. So the offensive line looks like it just might have the potential to materialize into something, to gel, as we say. That's good news. The running backs look good, namely Ty Johnson. Most importantly, Michael Carter looks real good. Michael Pirine looking great over 2 weeks. Isn't he? Come on. You know I'm a Michael Pirine supporter. I got beat up this offseason. But it's nice to see the guy bounce into this role like he is. I think LaMichael Pirine's going to be a keeper, right? The real silver lining? Today, the Packers' day, this was the day for the tight ends to finally come out of the dark, wasn't it? Tyler Kroft, 2 18-yard touchdowns. One caught it on about the 2-yard line, got popped really hard, spun around, went right into the end zone. So he weathered a nice blow, like a tight end should. Between that touchdown and the next touchdown, there was a few plays where he had key blocks, sealing the edge, doing some things in the blocking role. Then he went and caught another pass on about, the 7-yard line or so? And shook. What was that? Did you know Tyler Kroft can do that? I didn't know Tyler Kroft can do that. Boop, boop. The guy went flying right by him. Just shoop, sidestep, scoodly-doo, right in the end zone. So Tyler Kroft came to play, and that is good news. Guess who else came to play? He's not perfect, but Trevon Wesco's coming to play, isn't he? Had some real nice blocks in the Giants game. Again, not perfect. He whiffed on one in particular in the Giants game, and he did that again today against the Packers. He whiffed on one, seriously. I think it was a 3rd and 1, and we got stuffed. Now, it wasn't his guy that originally broke up the play, but his guy ended up making the tackle because the block didn't. He ended up bouncing off the linebacker and landed on his face. But the other blocks, and don't forget, we're underutilizing him in the passing game. He is a secret weapon. He had a real nice catch with some yards after the catch today. So in his fullback role, he's looking good. Tyler Kroft is looking good in the tight end role. And then my boy came out of the worst situation last week. Kenny Yeboah caught that pass, fumble Rooney. Giants got the opportunity to score their only point of the game. Oh, that was terrible, wasn't it? You know I was feeling it. You have to know that. But came back with a nice little catch today. Got about 6 or 7 yards. Yak, not bad. It's a good little comeback. I think he's going to make it past this week's roster cuts, and he'll get a chance in the 3rd preseason game to kind of show he needs to stick. So it's all you can ask. You just want guys to progress. That's what you want. Kroft, Wesco's not really a tight end anymore, but why not? Wesco, Yeboah looking good. Herndon 1 catch for 5 yards. Guys, I'm just telling you. I I don't know with him. What I'm really hoping with Chris Herndon is that we can get something for him in a trade. Maybe even throw him to the Bucks for Jose Borregales. But that brings me to the last positive of the day. Dude, what's up with Amendola? 3 for 3, 54, 46, and 33 yards, I believe it was. Also 100% on PATs. Not bad, man. That's what you want to see. We just might have a kicker. So look at this. Coming out of today, obviously went in there with the big injury. Not good. Mims is banged up. Rankins is banged up. Zuniga's banged up. You know, obviously Vinny Curry, Quinnen Williams, all these guys are banged up. But we came into the game and we saw some really nice positives. Zach Wilson, offensive line, Mekhi Becton in particular. Tight ends look good. Running backs look good. Fullback looks good. And we got a kicker. Now I don't want to bite off too much. It's 1 week. But boy, was he tested this week. And he came up well. Now, I'd hate to see him play well. Jose Borregales gets released. We let him pass by waivers, and then Amendola sucks again, and then we missed our opportunity. I would take Borregales anyway. I would. But anywho, so guys, you should be in a good mood. The most important thing on our entire team is Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, and as a derivative, the offensive line, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs. Our offense looks good. Now, I'm not trying to say they're going to the Super Bowl, they're going to be dominant and unstoppable. I'm not saying any of that. But I am saying it looks good. It looks like we have something to work with, something to build on. And that's all we could want week 2 in the preseason. Now, I really want to see guys come back into the mix. Elijah Moore, we haven't seen him yet. Elijah Vera-Tucker, we haven't seen him yet. Denzel Mims played great in the Giants game, got banged up in Green Bay. They say it's day-to-day. I'm not too worried. I think it's more precautionary, which I get. At the same time, you want to see these guys playing. All right? If they're not healthy for the Eagles game, fine. Let's just prepare for week 1, and let's show these people what we can do. So there's a lot in the tank, a lot in the bag that we haven't even brought out yet. So this is good. We should be excited. Now, the defense, look, guys, we have probably the youngest defense in the league. We're the 3rd youngest team in the league, but not by much. We got rookies and second-year guys running all over the place. Okay, with a couple well-placed vets. It's going to happen. We're going to have good games, and we're going to have bad games. We know this. Prepare ourselves for it. Don't get worried. It just is what it is. Our whole goal this year is to evaluate these guys. See what we need to use these 11 picks we have waiting for us in next year's draft, what we need to use those on. The $80 million we're going to have in free agency, let's see what we need to spend it on. Salah going into year 2, Zach Wilson going into year 2, on and on and on. Let's see what we need to do. That's what this year is. It's all foundation. We got to try to stay as healthy as we can, and we got to give Zach Wilson, the offensive line, our running backs, and the defensive backs and linebackers, and we need to give them as much time on the field as we can so we can see what it is that they're bringing to the table. That's it. If Bryce Hall's not the guy, we need to know it. If Bryce Hall's not going to be a good pro, we need to know this year. This is the year we need to know. Is he worth developing? Has he already hit his ceiling? Is Brandon Eccles going to be anything? Is Blesson Austin, is it time for him to go? We need to know. See what I'm saying? Hamza Nasruddin, Hamilcar Rashed, Bryce Huff. What do we got here? What do we have in these guys? Lamar Jackson, the cornerback. Didn't look so good, and then he caught a pick at the end of the game. Is he coming around the mountain? I don't know. We got to see. We have to see. So that's what this year is. Now, we're going to get frustrated. People are going to crumble to pieces. Happens every year. People are going to crumble to pieces when the cuts start. There are guys that people think are superstars already. You know it is. I mean, look at Isaiah Dunn, who, like I said, he had a bounce-back play. It's great. But, dude, he's way at the early stages of development. People were telling me he's going to be the starter and opposite Bryce Hall. Okay. Just saying, let's relax a little bit. If he's not, we got to see how this all goes. Every year the fans fall in love with some people, from undrafted free agents or late round picks. Every year, whether it's David Clowney or Brett Ratliff or Woodhead or for me Atari Bigby. Last year or 2 years ago it was Greg Dortch, remember? And Deontay Burnett, Ja'Kai Polite. So sometimes they hang around, a lot of times they don't. It's an eval situation. It's all eval. That's it. So I hope you make it through it, man. I do. I hope I hope we have some fun this year. But you got to feel for Carl Lawson. You got to. You can't, dude. There's no way around it. You got to feel bad for this man. And he even came out. I'm not sure if you saw his tweet. He basically said, "This is a flesh wound for me. This is nothing. This is nothing. Don't you worry. This is all part of it." Now, I don't know if he's ever going to come back, and we don't know. It's Achilles. We don't know. But he seems pretty damn confident. He doesn't seem like he's sitting there moping, feeling sorry for himself. So he's saying, hey, don't you feel sorry for me, because I don't. But I do. I can't help it. It's a bummer, man. And I feel bad for us, too. But look, when you look at all this stuff, I'm obviously on Jetnation. I talk tons of Jets football. I have my own Instagram, my own Twitter. I have my YouTube channel. I have Jetnation's YouTube channel. Quite literally, I get thousands of comments a week. And if you combine the mediums. Thousands. And I try my best to talk to, shit, man, sometimes all of them. Some weeks I'm good. Most weeks I get to most, which is getting harder and harder. Just is. Which is why Patreon's so cool. That's a priority. And I will get to you if you're on there. Plug. But when Carl Lawson went down, and to a degree, rightfully so, but man, the collapse, the overall collapse of New York Jets fans was so tangible. It was so thick. And the comments came at me with this tone. When will it stop? When will this stop? Can we not have a good player? Can we please just have one guy who might be dominant? Doesn't matter. We sign him in free agency. We bring him in the draft. It doesn't matter. It could be top recruit. He comes to the Jets and something happens. And I get it, because the truth is that every year something like this does happen. Let's take last year, for example. Let's look at the last two. Now, this doesn't even have to, I'll touch on it, but I'm not even so much talking about our decisions. Our organization has made some of the most boneheaded decisions that you can imagine. The one example, let's just say we hired Adam Gase, okay? When Mike McCarthy, Matt Rule, Kingsbury, there were some guys that were sitting there with either a background in success or reasons to believe they really might be a success. Adam Gase, nothing but failure, except for his 3 years with Peyton Manning. So there's boneheaded moves. So as fans, it's like, when is that going to stop? So there's that too. But the way that we like to say it in the Jets fandom is, it's the Jets curse. It's the curse. Now, I ebb and flow with how much I believe in such things. I'll get real with you here. I don't know. People tell me Joe Namath sold his soul. I don't know. There's been days that I went, You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm not going to say I know one way or the other, but do I really believe that? No. Really? Like, really? Do I believe that there was some sit down between the devil and Joe Namath, and he signed away and to win Super Bowl III, and then he forever the Jets organization sucks? Joe Namath gets to be great, but we suck somehow. Like, how did he get the power to sell my soul? Like, I don't know. I don't think that's real. But I do think there's something. There is an energy. There is a something around this franchise that is very real, and it absolutely must be accounted for. It must. We've hired good people before. They came here and sucked, and then they went somewhere else and were great. We see that stuff. We see all kinds of stuff here. So I do believe there's something going on. And for the sake of this video and for our conversation, let's call it the Jets curse. So we hired this guy, Joe Douglas. Now, interestingly, if we didn't make the bonehead move and hire Adam Gase, one of the worst moves in franchise history, more than likely, Joe Douglas wouldn't be here. Now, Joe Douglas, for our intents and purposes right now, the list of Joe Douglas's accomplishments and training and background are more extensive than maybe a Mike McCagnon or a John Idzik or a Mike Tannenbaum. The only one that even compares as far as our general managers go is Dick Steinberg. That's it. And Terry Bradway had a little bit of a name, but it's not bringing in the pedigree Joe Douglas is. So we get this guy Joe Douglas, trained by arguably one of the best general managers in NFL history, Mr. Ozzie Newsome for the Baltimore Ravens. So he comes from an organization that is perpetually competitive, has the ability to weather just complete evacuations of free agents. Every year it seems like they lose some of the main people, right? Even us, C.J. Mosley, right? We took their best linebacker. Where did they miss a beat? No. No. So then they've also won 2 Super Bowls while Joe Douglas is there. Now Joe Douglas leaves and goes to the Chicago Bears. They do well, but he was there for 5 minutes, and he goes over to the Eagles, and they win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. So Joe Douglas is bringing with him an understanding of how you get from A to Z. So we hire this guy, Joe Douglas. Now, Joe Douglas been being with the Ravens and the Eagles. Now, there was some difficulty there. The Eagles couldn't seem to get over the hump, but they were, they're still not the Jets as far as bad luck goes. Fair enough. They got a whole bunch of NFC Championship games, and they've been to a few Super Bowls and all that stuff. So it's different. Eagles fans go through their pain as well, but it's still different. So Joe Douglas comes here, and he's thinking, I know how to build a team. I know how to build a team. So he comes in. First thing he does, he's handcuffed. They already did the draft. The free agency's over, and they're about to start the season, and we don't have an offensive line or any cornerbacks. So he talks Ryan Khalil off the couch. He makes a couple trades with the Colts. He gets Hairston and, whatever. Calls the Patriots out of nowhere and gets Demaryius Thomas. Right? So he makes a few moves because that's all he could do, right? So that first year. But he's thinking to himself, he knows how to build a team. I'm totally ready for this. I'm going to change this franchise forever. I know what I'm doing. I saw the best people in the business do it. I've been doing this for 17, 18 years. I know what I'm doing. He comes here and he watches the bottom fall out. So what does he do? He tells Sam Darnold's parents, I'm going to protect your son, and I'm going to get him weapons. So that year, by any other team standards, this would be pretty good. He brings in 5 wide receivers, and he brings in, if I remember correctly, 7 offensive linemen. 7 new offensive linemen. Right? He signed Alex Lewis. He traded a 7th-round pick to the Ravens for Alex Lewis. Ends up signing him. Greg Van Roten, Connor McGovern, drafts Mekhi Becton, Cam Clark. He also signed that guy from the Eagles. What was his name? I forget his name. He's gone now. And there's somebody else. I forget. So he brings in 7 offensive linemen, new offensive linemen, and 5 wide receivers. Uses his first ever first-round pick on a 370-pound, 6'7" left tackle. Uses his first ever second-round pick on a 6'3" wide receiver with 4.38 speed who climbs the ladder, high points the ball, catches with his hands, and is clutch. So he does it. The problem is the receivers he brought in. Like I said, any other team, this is going to work. But he brings it to the Jets, and Mims gets hurt, Perryman gets hurt, Doxson opts out. Almost the entire wide receiver core gets hurt. He watches over the 2-year period, 2019 and 2020, we were the number 1 team, and by number 1 I mean worst team, as far as people going on injured reserve. When he signed Jeff Smith, he was starting the week later, and then he went on IR 2 weeks into his stint here. Okay? Went to the Texans, brought in Vincent Smith. He was just bringing in dudes, and they were going down. Over 2 years, we had more players go on IR than any other team in the NFL. So what does he do? He watches all of his draft picks, except Mekhi Becton, although he kept getting hurt too, but like more banged up. He watches Mims not start. He watches Ashton Davis not start. He watches Cam Clark not start. Jabari Zuniga not start. He watches Bryce Hall not start. His whole entire draft class. James Morgan was never going to start. And Braden Mann. So he's got Becton and Mann. All right? He says, what the hell is happening here? So he watches this for 2 years. And he says, well, it's like a year and a half, right? He watches this go on, and he says, there's no way that this can happen. So what does he do? And this is what I'm talking about. Whether or not we have the right guy to counteract the Jets' curse. Because it's real. Brings in the linemen, he brings in the wide receivers, but they're all hurt. Everybody. So what does he do? He sits there, scratches his head. We see him in the press box just working his phone. He's trying to figure it out. He literally guts the entire medical department. Guts it. And doesn't just replace him with another medical guy. Doesn't just take the trainer, that guy Eustace. Doesn't just get rid of him and bring in a new guy. Sure, he does that. Gets rid of him and brings in a new guy. But he hires a doctor named Dr. Deweese to create an entirely new medical department that all reports to one bubble. Now, it sounds like, oh yeah, of course they do that. But that's never been this way for the Jets. So Joe Douglas sits there and he brings in an entirely new medical department, a new rehab department, a new nutrition department, a new training department. Creates 4 departments and puts them all under one umbrella. 4 new doctors to head each area. Each new department gets a new doctor, and then they all report to Dr. Deweese. Why? Because he's not going to watch all of his draft picks never get on the field. In order for this to be combated, in order for our Jets curse to actually be taken care of, to be met with as much force as it's bringing, the Jets curse is not playing with us. It doesn't matter who you bring in. If you think they're going to come in and change your organization, you are dead wrong. It has to be met with the same force that it is bringing. It eats singular individuals for lunch. So Joe Douglas watched the Jets curse destroy this team in 2019 and 2020. Destroyed the team, any chance that the team had, while it was being eroded from the inside out by a coach who never should have been here. So Joe Douglas revamps the entire medical department. Now, we haven't had an offensive line since 2010. So what does Joe Douglas do? He uses 2 consecutive first-round picks on offensive linemen. When he's interviewing head coaches after he fires his buddy Adam Gase, the guy who got him the job, fires him because it ain't going to work this way. You're not good enough to overcome this curse. So whatever skills you have ain't going to work. So he gets rid of him. He's interviewing head coaches. He interviews guys like Arthur Smith and Joe Brady, right? And then he interviews Robert Saleh, and he decides, I want Robert Saleh. Why? Why do you think he really hired Robert Saleh? Sure, he's a leader of men, absolutely. Sure, he's got the defensive chops, he's got the leadership chops, all those things. But the real reason he hired Robert Saleh is because Robert Saleh was the only one on that list who has had experience weathering an onslaught of big-time injuries to your main players and still knows how to get around it and coach past it. Like what he did last year, losing everybody. All of his best pass rushers, right? Hell, in the one Jets game, he lost Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas in two consecutive plays. There was a 3-play series there. Nick Bosa went down, season-ending knee injury. Solomon Thomas went down the next play. Both of them out of the game. And the third play was a sack on our quarterback. Okay? So he hires the one guy out of the bunch who knows exactly how to deal with a cursed situation just when nothing goes right and still knows how to figure out a way to get past it. He had a top 5 defense again last year. Top 5, man. We talk all kinds of stuff about Greg Williams or whoever. Look, we were top 10 defense. That's the best run defense in the league. What about passing? Oh, we're 31st in the league. We do that all the time. He was a top 5 overall defense in 2020. While his team was decimated by injuries. You think Joe Douglas is paying attention? So what does he do then? He uses another first-round pick on another offensive lineman. The quarterback that was here, he knows he's too cursed. It's not going to work. As much as I might believe in the guy, much as I like it doesn't matter. Number 3 overall pick, doesn't matter. He's been cursed. It's dumped all over him. I need to start fresh. So he goes out and he gets a new quarterback. Fresh, crisp. You know what I mean? It's like celery. It's like snappy, brand new celery, Zach Wilson. And he drafts to use another first-round pick on an offensive lineman. Uses 4 undrafted free agents on offensive linemen. Signs more depth offensive linemen in free agency. And then what does he do? He signed 2 wide receivers in free agency. Kept Jamison Crowder, kept Braxton Berrios, kept Lawrence Cager, kept Denzel Mims, signed 2 in free agency, and then uses his second-round pick for the second year in a row on what? A wide receiver. This doesn't look like overkill to you? It's funny. People say, oh, well, now we have too many. We got to get rid of Crowder or trade Mims. We have a GM who's thinking, I got to combat this friggin' curse. This isn't the Ravens. I'm not on the Steelers right now. This isn't the Patriots. This is the Jets. This is the New York Jets. I need to have 8 wide receivers that can start. I can't deal with signing Dante Moncrief and having him start 4 days later. Or, Chris Hogan. Can't happen. Then what does he do? Uses his top 4 picks on offense again. Yeah, he already has young running backs. He brings in another one. I already have 5 wide receivers. Good, I bring in another one. Then he brings in a free agent linebacker. And then he drafts 2 more linebackers. And then he drafts 3 cornerbacks to go with the 3 he brought in last year in Bryce Hall, Lamar Jackson, Javelin Guidry. He has Blesson Austin. Now, granted, they're all young. He's not going the vet route because he also knows that the Jets curse does something to old vets. Number one, they're not going to be healthy. Number two, they're more than likely going to come here with a big contract and they're going to do nothing. You need youth. You need guys who aren't tainted in the slightest bit to combat this curse. So look, we don't have any experience at cornerback, but can you deny we have cornerbacks? He brought in Javelin Guidry, Lamar Jackson, Bryce Hall last year. He had Bless on Austin here. He goes out this year, he drafts Jason Pinnock, Brandon Eccles, and Michael Carter II. 2 years, that's 7 cornerbacks. Dre went and got another defensive tackle. Do we need defensive tackles? No. But guess who doesn't care about how many defensive tackles we have? The curse. Look at all the defensive linemen he brought in. He brought in Sheldon Rankins, Ronald Blair, Vinnie Curry. Look at all these guys. Did we need Sheldon Rank? When he signed Sheldon, everybody went, what the hell's going on? He said, dude, they're not going to make it. He already has Fadu Kasi, Kyle Phillips, Nathan Shepard, Quinn Williams. And then he goes and brings in Carl Lawson. What did the curse do? The curse took him. Joe Douglas knew this. And maybe he didn't know it was him. But it was definitely taking some people. I brought in the medical team to make sure. Like, did you hear what Robert Saleh said about Carl Lawson? He said, this is a freak. The guy does literally every single thing that you need to ensure you're going to be healthy. He works with the training staff. He works with the medical staff, the dietitian, everything. He hydrates. He stretches, the whole thing. The curse took him. Joe Douglas knew that. Again, he didn't know it was going to be Carl Lawson, but he knew. He also brought in Bryce Huff and Hamilcar Rashid to go with all those linemen that we talked about. John Franklin. Dude, he brought in everybody. We have more defensive. It looks like we can't possibly play them all. Jabari Zuniga. But what's happening? Zuniga, Cam Clark, they can't stay on the field. Ashton Davis can't stay on the field. Good thing he brought in all the other safeties and defensive tackles and defensive linemen and edge rushers. Like, that's the whole thing. We have a general manager that for the first time since I've been watching the Jets seems to understand that it's not going to go right here. You better bring every possible asset, every gun you can to fight this one. Because drafting a top flight quarterback and a wide receiver ain't going to cut it. Maybe it will in San Francisco. Maybe it will for Philadelphia. Maybe it will in Atlanta. It's not doing it here. You need to bring in the biggest, the baddest, the most motivated, the best work ethic, and give them every possible advantage that you can. And then once you've done that, bring in someone else. He thought he was, said when he traded, he made all the trades. He has 10 picks last year, 11 picks this year, used 2 picks to trade up, and then still traded back and kept 10 picks. Why is he doing that? He created 3 picks in his 2020 draft. Why is he doing this? You think it's just happenstance? No, man, he watched. He saw what happened to all the people he brought in. Do you realize that at week one of 2020, 2 of his draft picks were on the field? 2. And not because they just, they were second stringers. No, they could not play. 2. He's not doing this again. Everything is overkill. So we have a general manager that is aware for the first time of what we've been dealing with. It sucks that we lost Carl Lawson. It sucks that Connor McDermott went down today. It looked for a minute that, we're hoping Hamilcar Rashid can come in and maybe just take some of the bite out of the Lawson loss. And then he went down. He looked like he was unconscious for a minute, for a few seconds there. He thankfully came back in the game. He knows this team that we're bringing to game 1, they're not going to be the same team at the end of the year. He knows this already. And not because injuries happen in the NFL. No. Because the Jets over the past 2 years were the number 1 injured team in the league. That's why. So you have a general manager, guys, that has paid so much attention. That's why, like I said, I don't love every single thing he does, but I know that he's aware. He knows what he's up against. For the first time, we have a guy who knows what he's up against. Brought in Salah, the one candidate out of the whole batch last year who actually has overcome this exact type of a situation. What did Salah say? I like adversity. It shows you what people are made of. So what do you think? You think Joe Douglas is going to be able to get us through this? It's not going to happen this year, I'm telling you. I mean, we'll win some games we shouldn't, in my opinion. It's not about that this year. It's about laying the foundation, the groundwork that we can stand on to get above this thing. Laying down in the muck, that's where the curse lives. You can't hang out down there and expect to breathe. Can't. You got to build and get over it. You got to get past it. And that's what we're seeing. More pain's coming. Will it ever stop? I don't know, friends. I don't know. But it won't need to stop if we're prepared for when it happens. The problem with us is we've never been prepared. Somebody goes down and the season's over. Just like that's, if you see the Jets fans' reactions, I have guys literally telling me they're not going to watch this. This is it. Carl Lawson got hurt, our edge rusher, and there's no reason to watch the games anymore. Like, that's the feeling. Now, I know they'll watch games. They'll calm down. I get it. But that's the feeling, because usually when that happens, it is over. We don't have any backup. We go from, above average player to practice squad level. That's what we do. And that's not the way it is anymore. It'll take a minute. It's going to take a minute. But I believe Joe Douglas is doing exactly what we need to do in the beginning stages to finally get past the curse. And hopefully Joe Namath won't have to die for us to win. I'd like him to be there with us. I don't think that one's true, guys. I don't. So anyway, what do you think? You think we got the ammo? You think he's the guy? You think Salah's the guy? You think he brought the guys with him, John Benton, Mike LaFleur, Albrecht? You think these are the guys? Are they ready for this? Jared Davis went down today. I don't know the injury yet. We'll know by the time this airs. But wouldn't that be something? The two biggest, defensive free agents they brought in are not even coming to the games. You think they're ready? I think they're ready. I don't think they like it, but I think they're ready. And it's about friggin' time. So with that, I hope you're having a great day. I do thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you do. Don't forget to go over to Full Time Coaster Tour. Drop a sub for me, will you? It means the world. Give me a sub right here if you haven't yet. Don't forget about Jetnation.com and our live streams every single game. 15 minutes or so before the game starts, we'll be live every week at Jetnation's YouTube page. And don't forget, if you find it in your heart, it would be fantastic if you could support me on Patreon, and I'll make it worth your while, I promise. So again, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Enjoy the positives, my friends. Let's go into Philadelphia and get even better. One step better. Go Jets.